Welcome and thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. We're entering in the very beginning of Aquarius. The age of Pisces is now leaving, and those ages are like 2,000 years, because it takes about 26,000 years to run the full circle of the zodiac. The age of Pisces, it was all about the Christ, was all about sacrifice on the cross, all about martyrdom and remembering myself as a young kid. I was in a parochial school, and they talked about how people sacrificed themselves for the bringing of the Christian religion. And I was always upset because they would talk about kids, how the kids would sacrifice themselves. They would bring the Eucharist, they would hide it, and if they got caught, they would get killed. And here I am, a little kid, thinking, oh, I should be able to do that. Because, little children have these tender little hearts. And it's sad that they get sacrificed. And today, in the time that we're in, when we look at, and I hate to bring this up yet, I have to, because when we think about Pisces leaving and Aquarius coming into view, and we look at the amount of children who are being sacrificed sexually in the world and taken away from their parents, and it's coming into a huge viewpoint where it was known before, but it wasn't as known as it is today. And I'm glad that it is much more known today, because we can save children and women and other people who are being trafficked. It's important. For me, Pisces people are certainly under the gun a lot because of the fact that they are so gentle and so loving. And they kind of always think about, oh, I'll sacrifice myself before I'll let that happen to them. And that's what'll happen. The 12th sign in the zodiac is one of self-undoing. So you have to, that's always going to be in the energy of who we are. If we're a Piscean person, is this self-undoing, not necessarily someone else's undoing you. It's they undo themselves. They choose that.
I'm going to change the channel a little bit now, June.
Sure.
What I see is a world that is so full of fear and that is doing so much projecting. And the rage that's out there is the rage that's been festering inside of us. I would love your take and your suggestions on how we as a spiritual community can ease the burden of all of this that's going on right now.
Well, I think, therefore I am, right? I think so. And that's probably more important than really what we're talking about, is that we do think. We have to consider who we are. What do we want? Too often people are not looking at what they want. They're looking at what they don't have. And fear is what drives that. So if they think they're in a losing situation, they're just going to be more fearful, and they're going to get nastier and, more profound with how they create what they create, how they act the way they act. It is kind of a sad situation out there. Yet if we can give to someone else what we want, then we're going to give it to ourselves as well.
Oh, let that sink in a second. If we give to others what we want, that will give to us as well. Can you expand on that?
Yes. When I think about the Gathering Lighthouse, I know that in the beginning it was supposed to be a psychic mediumship, healing energy, all the things that the New Age people were doing. Yet when the people started coming, all of their earth emotional lives came with them. And it was obvious that it was there. So for me, it was, how can I, as someone sitting here in this position of leadership, some way or another, support them in becoming emotionally more secure within themselves. And that became a big part of what we started doing at the Gathering Lighthouse, because how do we grow if we're down on ourselves all the time emotionally? We can't. And how do we grow if we're always telling ourselves, oh, you don't know what you're doing, or you did that wrong, or what's the matter with you? How do we grow if we're constantly shaming ourselves? We can't. And so the premise of what we do over there is to support them in looking at themselves as healthy, happy human beings. Because we don't just do psychic work, we do emotional, mental, physical, and psychic, whatever, we deal with it all. So when we're in group and something comes up, and someone is unhappy or someone is hurting, we take the time to let them deal with that with us. We have a code of ethics and principles that we do our work by, and it's very, very important because we read that statement every time before we have class. All the new people hear it, all the people that have been there for a while hear it again. It gets reiterated to them, and they take it seriously. So when they are having an issue, when they have come in the room and they had a really bad day because someone might have cheated on them, if they have a relationship, whatever the issue is, they feel free. They feel free to discuss it and let others know they're in not a real good place. And everyone respects that. So, because the only way for us to be happy in life is to be secure within ourselves. And when we're being dealt a bad hand, we don't feel very secure. It's not just about learning something that you don't know. It's about dealing with those things you do know.